Okay, hey team. Here is Kevin. Kevin is an actual video person who actually is currently interning at CBS, is it?
Yeah. Doing the PAGE program. I'm a filmmaker and media studies student.
Where did you study again?
The University of Michigan. And
So,
so,
this is a video mostly to get you folks to think about Bella's first prototype. Bella is my Filipino assistant who's got some video editing chops. And where the idea is to throw together a few things quickly and then to try to get feedback from people and maybe to get a social scientist to actually research certain slogans and figure out what talking points actually make sense. But the overarching theory that made me want to bring everyone together on this, I want to remind people, I think that we have a unity of focus that is, historically weird, right? Like maybe on September 12th of 2001, people were as focused on, wow, terrorism, scary, right? But and that there wasn't any, presidential election about to happen, right? So the idea that talking points that clarify to people exactly how badly this White House did and is doing, that could be, I'm assuming that some talking points that really drive that home can change the nature of the election. So we can figure out what the message needs to be, put together some ads, somehow prove, with some kind of study that these talking points really do move unlikely voters to vote and to vote in favor of replacing Trump. So that's the basic idea. And so I threw together something with Bella, and let's listen to it once, and then I'm going to critique it a second time, and Kevin may critique it live, or maybe he'll do it in writing. I don't know. So here we go.
Jamie was the finest man I've ever known. He loved kids. He would give you the shirt off his back. I've loved him from the day I met him in our high school cafeteria. Jamie died in April on a ventilator at Johnson Medical Center. We will never forget his humor and kindness. I don't know what the kids and I will do without him.
More than 5,000 police officers are positive for corona. That means at least 100 will not survive. Our protectors in blue deserve far better than that. Why hasn't Donald Trump done what Taiwan has done? What is Washington waiting for? The US and Taiwan had its first cases right around January 20th, but within 10 days of that, Taiwan had geared up to have 15 assembly lines, putting out between 11 and 12 million masks every day. How did little, tiny Taiwan, a nation of less than 24 million people, only 600 miles from the epicenter, gear up so much more successfully than the mighty US, 14 times larger and more than 7,000 miles away? Trump finally, 71 days later, began using the Defense Production Act, but only to tell 3M that it couldn't send these masks to other countries where they also need them. Join actnowcovid19.org and make your voice heard. Sign the petition, demand action. The clock is ticking. Lost time equals dead cops. Okay, let me start it again. And this time I'm going to tell you what changes I would make to this if mine were the only opinion. And we liked it enough to actually base the real ad or a real ad on it, which I'm not saying we do.
Jamie was the
well, first thing is it's a minute and a half long. That's not a good TV commercial length. So it's got to be, I'm told, what, 30 or 60, right? So I also don't think that having this much of the screen dedicated to retelling me what this woman is saying, her voice is very clear. And so I don't and plus I think we want to see the cop. I don't think we want to see the wife. So I would replace this visual with, a picture of a cop who looks very friendly and caring and playing with children, but it should be in a New York City cop uniform. So Bella, if you Google around for, New York City cop playing with children, and there's an entire police athletic league. I haven't checked, but maybe Kevin here would be willing to Google around and find some nice images that we can use. Obviously, when we do the real ad, we need to find a real dead cop, right? But these are only the prototypes to help us, find money to do this.
Finest man I've ever known. He loved kids.
Obviously, we can replace this voice with a professional actress, or I guess in the real case, we have to use the actual widow.
He would give you the shirt off his back. I've loved him from the day I've met him in our high school cafeteria. Jamie died in April on a ventilator at Johnson Medical Center.
Okay, yeah, no, we can't use this. This looks like an Italian cop. Or something. No, I don't. This does not speak. This pattern does not speak America, right? So this will immediately jar an American as, wait, that's not an American cop.
We will never forget his humor and kindness. I don't know what the kids and I will do without him.
More than 5,000 police officers are positive for corona. That means at least 100 will. Now, in this case, we need to wipe out. Like if you delete the heading completely and put your own heading. So, chart 2 doesn't make any sense. Why is it excluding China? So you need to change this, Bella, so that it makes the point we want to make, right? And maybe even putting in some arrow pointing out maybe, Kevin, what do you think? Should it actually say something like, more than the rest of the world combined or something?
I think your instinct is on point. I think based on what we have here, I would put the, if anything, the 3/31/2020 date of the thing somewhere near the bottom, and then replace everything on the top with cases per country, COVID-19 cases per country, and just have it a really simpler title.
That sounds wonderful. Right now, I'm not having Bella do an update of this video. I'm having her do new ones, but at some point we'll cycle back and clean this one up if people think it's good enough to bother. Okay, yeah, say that again one more time. What are you saying ought to be on top, Kevin?
Yeah, I just agree that it's a lot of extra text, and just if it was a better title, it would just say coronavirus cases per country. And then on the bottom, maybe underneath everything on the bottom of the chart, you would say updated 3/31/2020.
Great. That sounds really good. Do that, Bella. That sounds awesome. Okay, let's keep going. Not survive. Our protectors in blue deserve far better than that. Why hasn't Donald Trump done what Taiwan has done? What is Washington waiting for? The US and Taiwan had its first cases right around January 20th, but within 10. Okay, so first point, this does not look like a timeline, right? This, I think I pointed this out to Bella already. If this is 71 days, then that's not 10 days, right? So these have to be, oh Jesus, I didn't mean to screw that up. These have to be proportional, right? If it's supposed to be a timeline. One question is, what would you think if you put a Taiwanese flag and an American flag here? And then you put a Taiwanese flag here and an American flag here, right? So it's clear this is what happened both in the US and China and Taiwan. This is what happened in Taiwan. This is what happened in the US, right?
Yep, that's smart.
Now, can we also dramatize the amazing miracle that this tiny little country produces 12 million masks a day in the United States? Maybe even the U.S. flag could be very small, could be kind of small enough you can still make it out, and the Taiwanese flag could be bigger. It's like, I don't know, in some way could we dramatize, you know, all they were able to do in 71 days was to sign a piece of paper saying don't export the mass we already have? Yeah, screw over our business partners who we might need, you know, we might need medications from. Tell them to fuck themselves, right? Like that's the best you can do 71 days after you had an actual coronavirus case show up in your country. It's like, what, how can we dramatize like this little country doing this feat of manufacturing? And they're just, you know, they're a hop, skip, and the jump, right? They're like 600 miles from the epicenter. Here we are from thousands of miles away, the greatest economic powerhouse in the history of the world. And in 71 days, we can sign a piece of paper saying, screw your business partners. We don't care about their lives. That's the best we can friggin' do. They're exporting 1 million free masks to other countries as a, you know, to help out in Italy. It's like they're doing, and all we can do is to say, no, we won't help out. That's what the powerhouse of the United States can do. Like, what level of unbelievable incompetence is this? How do we dramatize that? I mean, it dramatizes this, that this if this is 10 days and this is 71 days. We're just getting the sizes right already helps dramatize something. But if you can think of how to like make it more dramatic, they accomplished this, you know, in 10 days. And I'm not saying, by the way, they didn't actually start earlier. By the way, this is also another confusing thing. If this is the date of the, then why is this bar over here, right? It's like, this isn't making sense. If you're treating it as a timeline, it's got to be a timeline. So is that when you're saying does that represent the 20th of January? In which case this bar has to start here. You know what I'm saying? Treat it as a timeline, right? If it's going to be a timeline, treat it as a timeline. I mean, I showed an example timeline. Hold on. Pause the. So, again, this timeline style I think is interesting, but you could use, you know, flags of, you know, a U.S. flag and a Taiwanese flag, and then in the place where, you know, the Taiwan alone does this amazing thing, then the Taiwanese flag. But you should keep the, like, if the US flags are on top and the Taiwanese flags on the bottom, keep that pattern. So then, you know, let's say the Taiwanese flag is here and then the US flag is here. And we see, oh, 71 days later, you're only seeing you know, all we were able to accomplish was signing a piece of paper saying don't export. You know, it didn't make anything, right? So I think that's a better timeline. You can also look here at what some other timelines look like. This package called R is used by lots of statisticians. And so, but the idea that, you know, a timeline should look like a timeline. You should see dates, so it's more obvious that we're talking about time. So those are some changes I'd like to see. Before I go back to the video, Kevin, did you want to say something?
No, the only thing I thought of that I haven't said yet is that broadly, and I think particularly in the beginning of it, even if it becomes shorter next time, music, and I don't know what kind, but some kind of music would probably be crucial. And that point where you come in, where your voice comes in, was a really strong point of the clip and of the edit. And you know, that would be, I think, even strengthened by the addition of music.
Yeah, Kevin, if you can do some thinking of about music.
It can be dramatic, like booms inside, you know, something that fits with, like, you know, the kind of pace of where you're at in the, you know, in the timeline. Because then, you know, as you go through the rest of it, you know, there might not be as much of a need. You know, you can have those silent periods through most of it, potentially after that as well. So it just depends on really what's being said.
Hold for 1 second. Okay. So some music you might consider, especially for the part where the widow is talking, is the Adagio for G minor by Albanini.
Super sad.
Another option is Samuel Barber's Adagio for Strings. And Kevin may come up with some other things for us to look at. But within 10 days of that, Taiwan had geared up to have 15 assembly lines, putting out between 11 and 12 million masks every day. How did little, tiny Taiwan, a nation of less than 24 million people, only 600 miles from the epicenter, gear up so much more successfully than the mighty US, 14 times larger and more than 7,000 miles away? Trump finally, 71 days later, began using the Defense Production Act, but only to tell 3M that it couldn't send these masks to other countries where they also need them. Join actnowcovid19.org and make your voice heard. Sign the petition, demand action. The clock is ticking. Lost time equals dead cops. Okay, so there was our very first prototype team. I look forward to talking to you. It's tomorrow at whatever 5:30. I have to look again at what the calendar says. I'm sending this out to you now, so you'll have some time to look at it. And Bella is working on a different ad, so you'll be able to hopefully give a reaction to that one too. Thanks very much.